Hideki Kamiya, the stylish madman who revolutionized an entire genre of video games that were sorely lacking on the N64, bringing us the character action/hack-and-slash genre that encourages you to show off how cool you look, putting him on the map as one of gaming's most influential figures, who will block your ass on Twitter if you ask him the same damn thing twice, calling you an insect. Get out! Anyways, I decided to go back 27 years to the very beginning of his career to experience his growth as a developer, and how his design philosophy not only impacted the medium, but how he was able to create some high-octane cult classics by going over all his main directed games from Resident Evil 2 all the way to the wonderful 101, dividing these eras into Capcom and Platinum eras. Starting with the Capcom era, where Kamiya-san had his first directorial debut with Resident Evil 2 after working with Shinji Mikami as a planner on Resident Evil 1. Fun fact about this horror game, it was directed by a guy who doesn't like horror movies. Hell, Mikami told him to watch Night of the Living Dead and Aliens for research material. At first he didn't do it, and after watching these movies he was kinda grossed out by them. The same guy who directed this scene and who made Bayonetta, where the torture attacks are outright torture corn, is grossed out by horror movies. Let that sink in for a moment. So Shinji Mikami was like, alright my G, I'll let you direct the sequel. After fucking up Resident Evil 2 to rebuild it again along with scenario writer Noboru Sugimura to fix up the game's direction. Now we gotta find out how the actual Resident Evil 2 was. Newsflash, as an old RE game, this shit is tight. I'm surprised how intuitive and responsive these tank controls were. I quite literally felt zero jank playing around with these. The only tangible thing that was in my way were them fixed camera angles obscuring my field of vision at times. Hell, my crusty modern gaming ass tried to move the camera around quite a few times. Hell, a lot of the zombies and clickers like to get at your ass out of complete nowhere to munch on you as Leon or Claire when you're walking around with limited scares ammo. It's like the game is straight up telling you to run and move your ass out of harm's way. When you're trying to find key items to unlock them doors, gizmos, and all that other good shit to make it through, make sure that you know how to manage your resources. Yup, carry too much shit around, you won't get a chance to carry other key items, encouraging you to be very, and I mean very careful with what's inside of your pockets, along with where you're placed. Don't be a bullet waster like John Wick or Wade Wilson. So for the love of God, be careful of how much shit you're carrying around while navigating this large ass U-turn of a police station. That's right, Resident Evil 2 is heavy on backtracking. It's good backtracking, however, at the end of the day, the RPD for the first half of the Leon or Claire scenarios is a gigantic ass U-turn. Expect to go back to the same room you were in with slight differences. Same goes for the sewers and parking lot. The parking lot is only in the Leon scenarios. I'd argue that the lab sections are the most action-packed the game gets. Even those follow the U-turn philosophy of level design. You're still gonna go back and forth quite a bit in these lab levels. We don't have a lot of Kamiya-isms per se. The only thing close is the 5-minute timer at the end of the title, the over-the-top jokes Leon rarely drops from time to time, the triumphant as fuck note the game ends on, William Birkin boss fights, all of that good shit. Overall, Resident Evil 2 holds up very nicely. I see how a lot of people would prefer this to the remake, despite not being the most Kamiya game on here, since he was being heavily supervised by Okami, so he wasn't able to go full-on Kamiya with these heavy action elements. We all know that one obscure fact about this game that ain't so special no more. Devil May Cry was originally gonna be Resident Evil 4. But here's one thing I did find out. As the prototype was being worked on, Okami was the one begging Kamiya to change the game's name and lore. And he wanted to keep the Resident Evil name to surprise players of the original trilogy. Have no fear, Kamiya-senpai, cause Okami-san is gonna be the one to make Resident Evil pretty action-packed. Eventually, Kamiya changed the protagonist from Tony Redgrave to Dante, T-Virus and Zombies to Demons, and Resident Evil to Devil May Cry. So, how does this one fare, especially with the existence of other hack-and-slash games? Oh, and the Itsuno Devil May Cries exist. Well, to be fair, this was the very first game to perfect and popularize the idea of 3D action hack-and-slash or character action. Whatever the hell you want to call these games. Let me tell you, this was a far better 3D Castlevania than the 3D Castlevanias that came out before on the N64. First off, the combat system here is tight as hell. The way Dante changes from sword to pistols in an instant, allowing you to juggle an enemy in the air using bullets taken from an Onimusha glitch, the infamous enemy juggle glitch in that game. Sure, Samurai Resident Evil came out before this one. On the other hand, what was different about this title is the introduction of the infamous style meter, judging your every movement at the top right of the screen, going from dull to stylish, encouraging you not just to beat them till they're dead, but to use all the pause combos with Alistair or Ifrit, maybe Sparta, alongside any firearm you want to look as cool as possible. Inspired by him showing off his arcade skills to a whole ass crowd of people at the arcade, literally getting you motivated to find the most creative way to kill off them demons standing in your way. Bosses included. Remember how I said Resident Evil 2 encouraged you to keep running? Well, Devil May Cry is the one game that encourages you to keep on fighting by locking you in a room full of demons. Oh, instead of trying to run from Mr. X as Leon in Resi 2, Phantom stalks you throughout. You can either book it and run, or stay behind and squash him. Let me tell you, whacking things in this game is fun as hell to execute, getting better with Devil Trigger, a rage mode coming in with moves of its own. This title relies heavily on DT, the most out of any other Devil May Cry for high damage output. Bosses here are a blast that wind up testing what you learned so far, Nilo Angelo being my favorite to go up against, setting the standard for the rival boss that feels like you're fighting a second player that Itsuno-san will come to develop in his Devil May Cry titles. Now, one thing to know about this game is that out of any DMC, it has the best atmosphere thanks in part to that Resident Evil DNA. In particular, the gothic as hell environments that get flipped on its head, like it's Symphony of the Night but in 3D. Only this time you got no laboratories, it's a lot more European than Resident Evil 2. It also helps that it's on a secluded island. The most modern things are the firearms that Dante carries. I almost forgot to mention that there's a ton of backtracking here. However, I find this one to be better than Resident Evil 2's backtracking because of the environmental changes, and my dude, the Kamiya-isms are on full display. The greatest video game pro tag, Dante roasting demons like it's no one's business. The game ranking how you did and expecting better of you. The first half of the final boss being Devil Space Harrier underwater pace breakers. Overall, Devil May Cry still holds up 24 years later. I don't see how it's dated at all. In fact, it's on par and even better than a lot of modern games. Sure, it's not as insanely combo heavy and technically demanding as the Itsuno Devil May Cries or as polished as Devil May Cry 3 and 5, but it's as fun as these games are. And besides, these games wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the first Devil May Cry. If you're a fan of the Itsuno DMCs and other action games, then you owe it to yourself to play the original Devil May Cry. After Hideki Kamiya not knowing a thing about Devil May Cry 2 getting greenlit, I mean seriously, the dude was done dirty to the point where he thought that he was getting fired. The man quickly got to work on Beautiful Joe, as DMC2 was in development. taking his love of Japanese tokusatsu shows like Ultraman and Kamen Rider, fusing these ideas with the art style found in American comic books, mixed with Mega Man's bodily proportions, bringing us the iconic Clover Studio cult classic Beautiful Joe. Now the question is, how well does this side-scroller hold up today? Ladies and gentlemen, Beautiful Joe is nothing short of stylish. First off, the cel-shaded art style hits you in the head like a freight train because of how beautiful looking it is. It's like a goddamn comic book come to life. Over-the-top vibrant colors, character designs, backgrounds, and effects. Whether it's Joe's movie powers or other comic effects, popping out with vibrant-looking environments that are surprisingly, ridiculously varied. From gothic castles and dungeons like Castlevania, urban streets like the ones found in 90s and early 2000s action cartoons, it doesn't even hurt that the last episode is one gigantic Star Wars reference, with a mecha battle at the end. Gameplay-wise, it's a satisfying romp of a side-scrolling platformer beat-em-up. Joey has the standard punch and kick buttons. Ducking and punch is the uppercut launcher. Up is the one button that gets you to dodge sweeping kicks. These are pretty satisfying to do on their own. What sets this game apart from others in its genre are the movie powers, slow-mo, fast-forward, and zoom. Each of these are unique in their own right. Slow-mo gets you to dodge incoming attacks easily which time before which time, getting Joe to pull off insane JoJo poses, allowing you to see bullets, slowing down rockets to fire back at enemies, and trust me, there are encounters where you'll need it. Insert encounters like a legit need. Then you got fast forward, getting your ass to quickly rapid punch and kick, doubling your damage output. Hey, you even get to smash them boxes in the background. Now zoom is the one you're gonna be using the most in conjunction with fast forward and slow-mo to multiply damage while getting exclusive kicks, mobility options, slams, not just for combat but for puzzle solving too. Each episode in Beautiful Joe needs you to solve puzzles using different movie powers. That can be confusing as fuck for new players. It got me confused if I'm being honest. Oh, and did I mention some of the bosses themselves will take you a while before you find out which combinations of movie effects work on them or not, and how to strategize against them, aggressive ass bosses and enemies too. Yep, Beautiful Joe is one hell of a tough ass video game that'll get you to rage quit over and over again, especially going up against Leo and that shark fucker, other Joe included too. Hell, this is the first Kamiya game to rank you after every encounter. Okay, DMC 1 did, but it wasn't as overt and in your face like in Beautiful Joe. But trust me, it's worth going through because of how balls to the wall and zany it is. Plus, this title is the most Kamiya thing you'll ever play from start to finish. Common Kamiya-isms include a random Gradius shmup section, only this time it actually fits in the game, not breaking the pace of the title's playstyle. Plus, this is the first Kamiya game that references his Devil May Cry a shit ton. First off, that Alistair fight is so fucking cool to go through. The dude is hitting you with the Alistair sword. No, it's not one Alistair sword, it's Alistair swords. Air raids, round trips are being flung against you. He's a blast to fight. Best part is that he's a rival to Joe. Speaking of which, the over-the-top story, while not the most mature thing theme-wise, it's a funny as hell and entertaining romp, keeping your ass pumped. Bro, you're literally playing as a movie buff who got transported inside of his favorite movie after his girlfriend got kidnapped inside. Joe is a wisecracking protagonist. Compared to Dante, he's on the nerdier side of the spectrum, a lot like most of the people who are playing this game. Oh, and the pre-ultimate mech phase of the final boss, Captain Blue, is cool as fuck, the greatest pace breaker ever. And hey, Dante is playable after beating Beautiful Joe with Alistair paired with Ian, and oh my lord! Is he OP as fuck here? I was literally struggling taking the chopper down as Joe. Now I'm only shooting a couple of bullets, and it's blown to bits. Wait, he is roasting bosses here like it's nobody's business. Holy shit, this is a Devil May Cry game. A lost one, in fact, that I never knew existed. So yeah, Beautiful Joe, I highly recommend giving this one a shot. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Heading over to 2006, where Kamiya made Okami, a game inspired by Japanese Shinto folklore, featuring a cel-shaded art style that was intentionally designed to look like Japanese watercolor paintings. The first thing that stands out is that watercolor graphical style. Shit is a spectacular work of art, popping out right in front of you, cursed areas included. One of the main goals gameplay-wise is to make everything vibrant again, ridding the world of darkness. Level design-wise, it takes heavy inspiration from The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, of going over a main hub world, then moving on to a dungeon solving a set amount of puzzles, reaching a boss at the end of the dungeon. Like the N64 Zeldas, this game is pretty damn puzzle heavy, relying on the brush mechanic, getting you to slash, create bombs, lily pads, and vines by drawing the correct lines and shapes, like circles or a circle with a line across, collecting them through constellation patterns. Them shapes can be used in combat, getting rid of most of the opposition faster than your normal attacks. Yup, this game does indeed have a hack and slash type system. It's pretty fun to toy with. Hey, unlockable weapons are a thing here too, as the game introduces more enemies and bosses that are puzzle heavy in nature, requiring the brush tool. Word of advice, make sure your right stick works right, since the vine needs perfect straight lines. Shit took me a long ass time to beat the spider boss because of it. Like Beautiful Joe, you're ranked after each encounter, despite it being the second Hideki Kamiya game without a mission structure. Hell, encounters here are a lot more optional than in Devil May Cry or Beautiful Joe. In fact, this is quite literally the longest game Kamiya ever made. I wasn't able to beat the game in time for this video because it was that long. But what I've seen from the plot so far is Amitsuro is a wisecracker in her own way, slacking off when shit gets serious, for Isu to tell the pooch to lock in. Oh, and Isu is the one to crack the jokes. That charming little green boy who ain't a pain in the ass. Overall, if you really like Zelda Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask, I recommend giving Okami a whirl. And I sure as hell can't wait to actually beat the entire thing in anticipation for the sequel Kamiya-san is working on at the minute. I might even make a whole ass video on this one game alone. After Hideki Kamiya and Shinji Mikami found Platinum Games, they were free from Capcom's heavy standardizations, meaning they can do whatever the fuck they wanted to. One of these games being the fully Hideki Kamiya directed Bayonetta, inspired by Scandinavian mythology plus Kamiya Sensei's desire to make a sexy, fashionable protagonist, bringing us Angel May Cry featuring Lisa Ann as Sarah Palin. So the madman took all of his experiences working on the first Devil May Cry, along with what he saw and played from Devil May Cry 3 and God of War, to try and blow these out of the water. How did Kamiya-senpai deliver on these goals for Bayonetta? Well, the man did a bang-up job combat-wise. This shit is frantic as fuck. Right from the start, Bayonetta herself, moveset-wise, is quite literally DMC4 Dante, without the need to switch styles done right. The punch, kick, or heavy attack, light attack system exists, where a good chunk of them leads to the Wicked Weave. Ginormous clumps of Bayo's hair forming into fists, stilettos of death, Bayonetta herself stripping while letting them out. Not just that, she starts out with 4 guns. Move the right analog stick when shooting, she starts pulling out 2 sometime, either using hands or feet. You can attack enemies in the air without needing to switch to a style. Holy shit, it actually works a lot better than the Time Reboot DMC tried shit like this. Oh, and the dodge is the almighty dodge that gets you to slow down time temporarily, helping your ass. Style more on these angels. Keep in mind the dodge is a last minute one, which is as important as Devil Trigger in DMC 1. Not just for combo making, but for dealing damage. So you better get used to dodging at the last split second. And hey, you can hit projectiles back like in Beautiful Joe. Oh, instead of fighting demons, you're squaring off against angels that look too demonic to be angels. But hey, it is what it is. Some of the bosses are truly high as fuck in terms of spectacle. This title is a lot stronger than the Itsuno Devil May Cry's when it comes to spectacle of these bosses, as they make me feel like I'm playing through a whole ass Devil May Cry cutscene because of all of the wacky shit that I'm dealing with at the minute. Oh, not just that, the one motorcycle stage made me feel like I'm playing the DMC3 bike action cutscene. Doesn't hurt that all of these bosses are fun as hell to fight. On the other hand, all of them fall in comparison to John, a character using the same skills you have, who's the same size as you are. You fight her thrice. Oh, I get it, she is literally this game's Virgil, testing everything you thought you knew about the title so far. In these mono-e-mono fights that feel like you're playing against someone else. I see what you did there, Kamiya-senpai. And can you unlock weapons? Of course you can. Instead of getting a toy off of a biblically accurate angel, you collect LPs, take them back to Rodon, then get a new weapon. Shotguns, claws, the best katana in the game. I bet there's a lot more where that came from. I almost forgot to mention this game relies heavily on the dreaded QTEs and button mashing through torture attacks and climax enders. Bayonetta getting undressed, summoning a demon made out of hair, you got to mash that shit every time. Not to mention the random QTEs that can throw your ranking down the toilet because of how quickly you're caught off guard. The fuckers pop out randomly, tricking the player into thinking it's all a part of the cutscene, but no! A button needs to be pushed ASAP, killing the flow of the game. Other than that, the moveset is stylish. I like the idea of trying out new moves before buying any of them. Each loading screen is a practice mode, meaning that it's the first action game to do that training mode idea. Not just that, it's one of the only other action games where you can steal enemies' weapons to use them, as your own key items included, as a huge ass sword as well. The environments themselves kind of remind me of DMC1 because of that European setting. Only this time it'd be way brighter than that game. Sure, it's gothic alright. It's just a lot more vibrant than any other dark fantasy game you played, especially when you reach them heaven levels. Not to mention a lot of these areas want your sexy BBL ass dead. Shit is crumbling everywhere, doing it better than DMC Devil May Cry. Most of the Kamiya-isms add a shit ton to the title's charm. Sure, angel attack might be awkward and clunky, but it's a fun addition to the game, handing over points to exchange for halos. The second time we be playing that Space Harrier, shit, I'm not gonna lie, I like how it was done here, more than in DMC1. The spectacle boss fights are a thing that can only come from the mind of Hideki Kamiya. Bayonetta herself is pretty much DMC4 Dante, but if she was Lisa Ann, cosplaying as Sarah Palin's sexier, posh, British Harrier cousin, who happens to have Dante's same one-liners and sayings. The title is fully sexualized. Not only can it make a straight dude's dong go so hard he'd have no choice but to go. Some of the torture attacks are borderline BDSM, the chains and whips kind. Hell, I'm having trouble showing half of this wanker simulator on screen just to keep the video up. The plot itself, while confusing, is most definitely entertaining. I like Bayonetta as a character, plus Luco's a great skeptic turned friend. We got the reused Enzo, he's pretty funny here. I wonder how Dante was dealing with his crap. I liked Bayonetta's connection to her younger self. The rivalry turned friendship with John was fun to watch. Still, I had a hard-ass time keeping up with the amnesia plot. But some of the other Kamiya-isms tend to hold the game back. What the fuck is this bullshit of projectile slow motion ending the game hitting whatever by accident? What the fuck, dude? This happens in the Lumen Sage pre-ultimate, plus the end of Jubileus. All in all, Bayonetta is a fucking kick-ass action game that'll make any straight man jizz from downstairs along with his fingers. It doesn't matter if you're straight or queer. You're gonna get a kick out of this fucking video game, man. Released on the Wii U in 2013, Wonderful 101, like Beautiful Joe, takes Kamiya's love of tokusatsu films with a touch of Gurren Lagann, bringing us the zany Wonderful 101, a colorful ass video game that ain't exactly for everybody. The concept of the title is you control a team of morphing superheroes. The Wonderful 100, the gamer holding the controller, is the extra one, saving civilians, endangering their asses to get them to turn into a fist, whip, gun to shoot him out of, hammer, whatever you like. Okami brush tool style. Draw the pattern using the right stick. Yeah, I played this on the PS4 remaster. I never brought a Wii U or any Nintendo console ever. I played old NES games through my grandpa's NES and SNES. No need for the 7 C's. Nintendo, I wouldn't steal a car or video game now, would I? Anyways, the attack button you got is the circle button to punch, slash, shoot, whip, and smash. The combat itself is pretty fun to try, but let me tell you, this camera perspective is the reason why I can't play FIFA or NBA 2K, League of Legends included. I simply can't tell what the fuck is going on. I have a much easier time dealing with DMC1 and Resident Evil 2's fixed camera angles. Despite all that, the combat itself is a blast to play with, coming in using different powers and fun bosses, but still, this title is really tough, especially if you get rusty after not playing it for a while. Each enemy and boss has its own weakness that you have to be aware of. Again, it'll take trial and error to figure it out, while some of them can be dealt with just about any Unite morph. That's what these transformations are called. The idea itself is nothing short of unique. There is absolutely nothing like this on the market since or like ever. The industry is risk-averse to do anything new that isn't an already established IP. But hey, that's the state of the business now, sadly. Are these missions straightforward? Yes and no. They can be pretty puzzling. Requiring 2 screens, it was a Wii U game after all. It was working with that controller. It might have been fine on that Nintendo console, but on the remaster it's kind of awkward. You are ranked after each encounter, of course. I'm rusty as hell with a lot of these, so I'm guessing I'll get better through many playthroughs. So yeah, Wonderful 101, a fine-ass Kamiya game that isn't for everyone. It's a title that you'll need to take your time with. Now I know that everybody thinks Hideki Kamiya is that one asshole who'll wind up blocking you on Twitter for even daring to ask a simple question. But underneath all that, he's a really humble man who grew up eating, sleeping, breathing video games despite not owning a Famicom as a young lad. Visiting that one neighbor to keep playing on his Epoch cassette vision till he got that Famicom earlier in junior school. Trying to go through no death runs of Castlevania while getting perfect runs on Gradius. Hell, whenever he went over to the arcades, he made sure to get so good at these games to the point where everyone came by to watch, where he decided to give us the same experience with Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and Beautiful Joe. Titles that are easy to understand yet hard to master and get through, ranking everything you do. Despite all that, these titles themselves are ridiculously fun to play, coming in with fair challenges. Kamiya-san knows that you are more than capable of getting through them. Tough bosses and enemy encounters, looking good while doing it. The wisecracking characters cracking a joke at all of these larger-than-life monsters, motivating you, the player, to get better and persevere. Best part of all of this is that all of his characters are mainly human. Sure, meta-humans are technically advanced humans, however, they are mostly human, where what gets them through all of these hurling challenges is their humanity. Even the one game when you're not playing as a human, it's humanity's best friend, a doggy. Okay, Amatsuru is more of a fox, but you know what I mean. A dog is a man's best friend, a human's best friend, proving that humanity has the capabilities to outshine anything thrown at it. He even went on record to say what actually makes Dante powerful isn't his demonic power, it's his humanity. His own version of Dante might be scared, so he cracks a cocky smirk, busting a cheesy one-liner, not showing any part of the fear he would have getting pretty determined in tense situations. After playing all of these games, I can safely say that Hideki Kamiya is one of many legendary game devs making a gamer's game that are mechanically rich, challenging most of all stylishly aesthetic, revolving around themes of humanity. Just don't ask him the same shit on Twitter if you don't want to get blocked by him. Speaking of which, follow me on the new one. The other one got stolen. Follow my Twitter that is in the description of this video. With that out of the way, we come to the end of this video. What were your guys' thoughts on it? And what's your favorite Hideki Kamiya game? Let me know in the comments down below. If you liked this video, hit that like button and smash that subscribe button real impact style. At 10,000 subscribers, I'll pull off a whole ass Dante combo video in real life, wearing this entire getup. Trust me, we're pretty damn close. Ring the bell icon to get notified on whenever I put out a played every single game that your favorite developer has made. And comment which developer I should play every single one of their games next. This has been the Devil Joe signing out.